Hi all, welcome to Node.js tutorial course. I'm Jayashree and I'm here to explain you all what all Node.js can do. I have overall 10 plus years of experience in Node.js technology and I would like to share my knowledge and technical skill to all of you. As year goes, there are lots of new features, changes being added to Node.js. So let's get started with section 1, Introduction. This first slide contains a brief introduction of Node.js and its feature. So Node.js is an open source and a cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment. So as the name says, open source is nothing but it allows any developers to download it and start working on it immediately. So this is a powerful tool for almost all kind of projects. It runs on V8 JavaScript engine, which is the core of Google Chrome outside of the browser. This allows Node.js to be very performant, right? So since it is running in V8 engine, it has a good performance speed. It's a single process, so which means without creating a new thread for every request, Node.js provides a set of asynchronous input-output primitives in its standard library. So which prevents actually JavaScript code from blocking, and generally libraries in Node.js are usually written on non-blocking methodology, which means that it doesn't block any of the code. It performs input-output operations like reading from network, accessing database or file system. So here, instead of blocking the thread and wasting CPU cycles, Node.js will resume the operation when the response comes back. So this actually allows us to handle thousands of concurrent connections with a single server. Okay, so which helps us to avoid the burden of managing thread concurrency. Okay, so this has an advantage for the front-end developer. So which means that millions of front-end developers that write JavaScript for the browser are now able to create the server-side code without any issues, right? So they are very expert on the client side, and now they can also use the same technology for the server side. And it has a new ECMAScript standards, so which can be used without any problems, as we don't have to wait for the users to update their browsers, right? It has experimental features as well. The next one is it has a last or vast number of libraries, which is hosted by lots of developers, and we can use it in our um, projects. So that's about the introductions. So let's go to the history of Node.js. Okay. So Node.js is basically 12-year-old technology. So if you compare it with JavaScript, it's basically 20 years old and the web is 33 years old. So 12 years is not a very long time in tech, but Node.js seems to have been around forever, right? It's a buzz or a moving technology right now. So, as you know, JavaScript is a programming language that was created at Netscape as a scripting tool to manipulate the UI or the web pages within the browser. So, as part of the business model, they were about to sell the web servers, which include an environment called Netscape, which was a requirement to have a server-side JavaScript. So, which was the starting or the introduction of Node.js came into picture. One key factor that led to the rise of Node.js was the timing. So just a few years earlier, JavaScript had started to be considered as more serious language. That is the reason the server-side concept of Node.js came into picture. Node.js happened to be built in the right place at the right time. Hence, we are all using the server-side development. So if I have to say, in the year 2009 is Node.js is released in the market by Ryan Dahl, and the first version of npm is created. 2010 Express and Socket IO was introduced. 2011 npm version 1 was introduced, and major companies like LinkedIn, Uber started implementing Node.js into their production, and they also implemented or introduced Happy Server during 2011. 2015, the Node.js Foundation is born. IOJS is merged into Node.js. NPM introduced lots of private modules, and Node.js version 4 was released. NPM in 2017, NPM focuses mainly on security, and they have version 8 also was released during that time. 2019, version 12 and 13 was released, and 2021, 16 and 17 version was released. This is about the history of Node.js. Next, the main part, or before we do the actual introduction or the features of Node.js, or then before we get into any practical thing, I think we need to have this setup and installation up and running. So Node.js is basically a development server-side engine which can be set up in Windows, Mac, Linux environments. So basically, to get started with the practical thing, you need to have certain tools or SDKs installed in your desktop or your laptop. So first and foremost is the Node.js that needs to be installed. We need to have an npm, which usually comes when you install with Node.js, and the main thing is your IDE, right? Which I'll explain how do we set up these things in the Node.js. Okay, so now let's try to understand how we can set up Node.js on Windows. Okay, Node.js official website, the link has been given here, where we need to navigate to this link, and we will be able to download the required MSI for your Windows version. Okay, so basically when you navigate here, it automatically tries to show you or detect the OS, and it will give you an option to download. Okay, once you download the MSI, you need to double click to start the installation, and once the installation wizard opens, right, you will have several steps which you need to follow, which I'll be explaining after this in a real live scenario. And you will have an option to accept the license agreement. You can click on it and proceed with the install, and finally you can click finish to complete the installation. Once the installation is done, you can verify if the new version, right, is installed or not, right node version is being installed or not, by going to your command prompt and typing like node hyphen v. So let's navigate to the Node.js, the official page where we can download the Node.js installer. So I'm here, and as you can see, we have Windows installer, Mac installer, and we can also install with source code. The current version, LTS version, is 16.14.2, and I'm going to click on this to uh, download the file, MSI file for the Windows. Okay, you can see it is downloaded now. Let me open that file. So once you open, the setup wizard will be opening, and you can click on next button, and you can click on I accept the terms in the license agreement, and then you can click on next, and you can select if you want. This is the default installer, and if you want to change the path, you can click on change and change the path. For now, I'll be going with the default one, and you can click on next, and it installs, it gives some of the details, and then you can click on next. And if you want to install everything, you can click on automatically install the necessary tools, then click on next, then followed with install. This will be installing immediately with less time. So it is getting installed. It will take a couple of minutes to complete the installations. So the installation has been completed now, and I'll click on finish. Okay, this is some of the additional tools it is getting installed. So that is why we keep getting this pop-up. I can keep pressing the enter to install the required tools. Okay, let this get installed. As we saw, Node.js has been successfully installed. So now let's see if our what's the version is available in my system. So let me navigate to the Windows and search for command prompt, and we can type node-v to see the version of our node. Okay, as you guys can see, 16.14.2 is a version which we have downloaded, and the same has been installed, and it's displayed as 16.14.2. Okay, next let's look into how we can install Node.js on Mac or Linux system. Okay, so the same how we have set up or installed in Windows, the same goes with Mac and Linux, just that the downloaded the extension will be different. For Windows, it's going to be MSI, and for Mac, it could be a package or a tar file. Okay, so the same since I do not have Mac currently with me, hence I would be explaining you theoretically, and the same procedure how we have it in Windows, right? The same thing holds good for Mac and Linux. So you can navigate to the nodejs.org/en/download, and there as I shown in the previous slide or the live demo, right, you can click on window or Mac section, and it will download the package or the tar file. Once downloaded, you can click on the installer where the wizard will be opening, and you can click on continue and follow the steps. And once the installation is complete, you can go to the Mac terminal, and you can run node-v to see the version of node being installed. So optionally for Mac or the Linux users, instead of downloading from the uh, official Node.js website, you can also install Node using Homebrew package manager. So basically what you can do is you can go to your command prompt or a terminal, and you can run brew install node to execute or to download and install your respective node. So here it installs the latest stable version of your node. Okay, so before you run this command, you need to ensure that brew is already set up in your local. So next, since we are done with the setting up Node.js and npm and in either in Windows or Mac, next the main part is installing the required IDE for our development. Okay, so we usually as a developer, as a developer, I usually prefer to go with Visual Studio Code, which is actually recommended IDE for the Node.js developer, because it has an integrated terminal, it has all the extensions required for a Node.js. Okay, and we can visit this particular link code.visualstudio.com and download the IDE. Okay, I'll show you the live demo how we can download and install and set up this IDE in our local. Okay, and once you download, you can follow the installation steps which are as per the wizard, and obviously it will pop up for license agreement which you can accept, and it will be finally the installation will be complete. Then once installation complete, you can open IDE and you can start coding for a Node.js. Okay, let's now see how we can download the Visual Studio Code and set up the IDE in our local. So for that, let's navigate to code.visualstudio.com, and it will be landing with the main page. And as you guys can see, we have a option for download for Windows, we have an option to download for macOS, Linux. Correct. So since I am in Windows now, I'm going to click on download for Windows. Okay, so now the download has been started. So it will take like few seconds, and once it is done, we need to, yeah, the download is complete. So let me open the file, and you can click on OK. There would be a setup wizard coming up where you can accept the agreement, you can read the agreement and accept the agreement. Click on next, and if you want a desktop icon, you can I usually prefer to have a desktop icon, so I will check on that icon and click on next and click on install. This will take like a minute or so. Within a minute it should be done. Okay, it's done so fast. Okay, now let's click on finish, and here we are with the uh, here we are with our editor. Okay, now we are done with Node.js setup, and we have IDE to start with coding. And I'm sure now you all have good idea about Node.js, how does it work, and in next session I would be covering the topics in details. Thank you for watching. If you like my session, please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. See you in next session. Thank you.